Hey, what's good, guys? Cryo back, and we actually not doing reactions this time. We doing something a little bit different. We are running an interview with the homie GxGWolf for his upcoming EP, Laughing Tale. How's it going, Wolf?
Yo, man, it's good. I'm glad to be here. Appreciate you for letting me come through.
Yeah, no problem, man. No problem. Now, you actually hooked me up with an early link for this EP, and guys, let me tell y'all, I think Wolf really has something here. The tracks are absolutely fantastic. So I just got a few questions about it for you, if you don't mind, man.
Of course, of course.
Now, starting off with Shambles, of course, that is about Trafalgar Law. That one of my favorite non-Star Hack characters. Where did the inspiration behind that track, outside of just One Piece, come from?
So, when coming into making this EP, I wasn't eventually like this was just gonna be singles that I was gonna drop. I'd been dealing with writer's block for a little bit, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go watch some One Piece. It's been a while since I watched One Piece, and where I left off was Punk Hazard, like right like at peak Trafalgar Law, right? Um, So as it's going on, this was around the time that Clips dropped their album,
Mm-hmm.
um, like God Sort of Mount, and like so I had a lot of like, cool. I want to do some like more like boom bap kind of slower stuff. Was kind of like what was in my head, and then as I was watching it, I had that hook, that room. Everybody turned to shambles. That was gonna be the start of the verse, and like
Okay.
as I was like writing more, I was like, no wait, that's kind of a crazy hook actually. Um, and then it just kind of just went from there. Like, oh, I got the hook. All right, cool. Let me go find a beat.
Hey,
I
there
had
you
written
go.
like I wrote most of verse one without a beat in mind. I was just writing as I was going, and then I found that beat by Bailey Daniels, and I was like, oh nah, yeah, we're good.
All right, man. All right, that's pretty tough though. I do have there's a specific bar that I have in mind when I hear Shambles, and I like it because it's a flip, right? It's a
Mhm.
fuck with a punk understanding get hazardous. Was that just something that came off the cuff? Like, did you put how much thought went in for that specific flip right there?
Yeah, so that is really that whole scheme, because like
Mm-hmm.
that first verse, I don't really do a lot of like references to like the show. Like I have a couple,
Yeah.
um, but it's more kind of like, I don't want to say generic, but more like just pirate talk. So going into the second verse, I was like, all right, let me do a few more references in there. Um, and I had the start of the first verse with mess with the kid up to medalist law. And I was like, okay, cool. What if I did like a flip on how I started the first verse? So it's
Mm-hmm.
mess with the kid, nah, fuck with the punk, understand to get hazardous. Um, and again, like I started at Punk Hazard when I started going back to watch One Piece again. So it
Yeah.
was like right where I was at, and I was like, nah, hold on, that's a dope little flip. I'm gonna throw that in there. And then progressing with the Chondro, the sleep on the kit, you get cut like it's Cavendish. Like that whole scheme was like, let me do some crazy bars. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying?
And what another thing that's pretty cool about that, especially with Cavendish, right, is not only did you lead off with stuff that happened in Punk Hazard, you tied in events from Dressrosa as well,
Mm-hmm.
which is sick because like, from Punk Hazard up through Wano, and this is something I really like about One Piece, how when they introduce characters, they kind of give them arcs that while they're not solely about those characters, they revolve around those characters, and
Yeah.
uh, Punk Hazard, Dressrosa leading into Wando, you could say revolves around Law. So tying in Cavendish with that, outside of his name rhyming, I felt was like, okay, that's pretty cool. That adds some more layers to this, adds some extra depth to that scheme as well.
Yeah, and the way that scheme ends with I fought with the king of the beast, he ain't
He ain't
ravenous,
ravenous.
tying it all back
Ooh.
into Wano and then
Yup.
Wano. You know what I'm
Yup.
saying? So like that whole little scheme there. And if you notice, the one arc that I don't reference is Whole Cake, and that's because he's not at Whole Cake.
That's
He
true. That
doesn't
is
pop up
true.
there. So it's literally like he goes from Dressrosa, which is the Conjuro line,
Mm-hmm.
and the Cavendish line, and then into Wano. And it's like it's such a cool like little like I was able to just like his whole like you said, like his arc really is those three arcs.
Yep.
So I was able to tie it all together. You're the first person out of everybody I've sent the early links that caught that.
Oh, dude. Well, I mean, I don't really like to brag that much, but you know me, man. I hyper fixate on bars and stuff like that. Especially if it's something I don't know if I really touched on it much in like my reaction to it at all, but it was something
Mhm.
I definitely noticed when I heard it. I was like, ah, okay, okay. But yeah,
Yeah.
no, Shambles I feel was a great opener to this EP. At what point did you decide this would be like? I know you said these initially started as singles, but when you decided to make this an EP, when did you decide on track order?
So, um, when I was writing every track, I knew like the general vibe for every beat. Like I wanted them to be about the same,
Mm-hmm.
um, so that they could kind of flow into each other, and there isn't like these kind of melodic, not melodic, but like more like these boom bap type of beats into like trap. Right. I wanted it to be cohesive.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I kind of knew how I wanted them to play out in terms of the full on track order. Um, uh, my first goal was gonna have Shambles be the last song on the tape, but as I was making them, I realized like that's probably like out of all four tracks, that's like more music terms, that's like the radio hit, right? Like that's the one you could hear on the radios more than the other ones. So like
Right.
that's got to be the single. And I was like, well, if that's the single, might as well start the album with it or the EP with it. Um, and then I knew once I knew that that was going to be the first track, I wanted my song with Omega Red, Three Blades. I wanted that one to be the last one. Like I knew
Okay.
that was going to end it because they're the same vibe, but they're so different in how we rap on them. So I wanted it to contrast at the end.
Right.
Um, and then I wanted to do the Wanna Live and Vinsmoke were two that I was like, I wasn't sure which way I wanted to do it. But with Grayson's verse on Wanna Live, how he starts that verse, I was like, no, I want this like more towards the beginning of the project.
Okay. Now, speaking of Wanna Live, I think out of all four of them, that one might be my favorite. Just, the Water 7 arc, Enos Lobby, Robin being one of my, like, her character before, like, I guess you could say officially joining the crew after Enos Lobby, even though she had been with them for a lot of episodes before that. I liked her character a lot before she, I guess you could say, officially joined. And that powerful moment in Enos Lobby with the "I Want to Live" was
Mm,
what solidified her as one of my favorites. So as soon as I saw the title, I was like, "Oh yeah, this is gonna be one of my favorites." And then of course you had Grayson and you had Callum B on the track as
mhm.
well. But when did you how did you go about getting those two to feature on it actually?
So when I cooked that song,
Mm-hmm.
at first I was gonna do that one as a single or not a
Mm-hmm.
single, but just me on it. Um, but when I made that verse, because I didn't have the hook was the last thing that we did for that track because uh, I'm really bad with hooks.
I get
So
it. I get
like
it.
the whole tape, I wanted to do all hooks.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to get somebody else to do hooks to try to like really push. Um, who I made that verse, and I had just joined Taku Gang at the time, right?
Okay.
Officially joined them, and I put it in the group chat, and I was like, "Yo, anybody want this?" And Grayson. Grayson was like, "No, send me that." So I
Hey,
sent
the
Grayson,
OG gonna step in, man.
of course, of course. So I sent Grayson that. He did his verse, or he started writing his verse, and I was like, "Okay, I got room for one more verse. I already got a feature on it. Let me hit up Callan. Like whenever I need a feature, Grayson and Callan are like I think they're on almost all of my projects. Um, so I was like, I might as well bring them both on for this one. And
Mm-hmm.
I sent Callan the open with just my verse, and then Callan actually sent me his verse back first. Um, and oh no, I'm sorry, Grayson sent me his verse. I'm sorry, Grayson sent me his verse first, and then I purposely didn't show Callan his verse. Um, because I wanted them to attack the track how they would, right? Like it doesn't happen all the time, right? But you get people like will get we'll do a verse and then somebody will do a verse on the track too and like, nah, let me go back redo that. Right? Like, nah, I feel like I could do better, which is cool, right? And I think that makes tracks a lot better most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
But I wanted this like the whole like this tape isn't like let's see who's the best. You know what I'm saying? Like we're creating vibes. was like really my goal was to create a tape that you could listen in the car, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, some stuff you could just vibe with. So I didn't want Grayson, because I know Grayson, I love Grayson. He'd be like, "Nah, I'm not gonna let him outdo me. Let me go back in. Let me go back in." And the same thing with Callan. Like I didn't want Callan to like, oh, he's doing this. Okay, let me do some stuff like this too. Like no, just do what you do. You have my baseline, but I want y'all to do what y'all gonna do.
I like that, having them both tackle it in the aspect they would a track of their own. Not forcing any type of competition. It's kind of like when you said that's why you didn't want to do it. My mind immediately thinks to like Kanye on Forever when he heard M's voice and he jumped in and rewrote it. So
Yeah.
I, looking at your approach to it, it's honestly a very respectable approach because like, look, this isn't about who's rapping better. You guys just take it, do your thing. I do like that. I respect that approach a lot.
Yeah.
Now, Vin Smoke. This is one.
Mhm.
This is one I've gone back and I've listened to these a few times. This is one I haven't admittedly listened to a lot compared to the others. I know Shambles, of course, is already out. And
Mhm.
Shambles, God, I love that track. But with Vin Smoke, how did that one come together? The writing process as well as the features. I believe you got Ayo That's Mori and uh, what was it? Otaku
Gods.
God? Oh, God's the Dawn. My bad. My
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah, so that one, so Vinsmoke was actually the first one that I wrote. Um,
Oh.
because I had the idea and I actually had the hook ready for that one too.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, who want to I'm already forgetting my lyrics. That's crazy. But the Vinsmoke bit, right? Like
Yeah.
I had known about Sanji like being a Vinsmoke for years before like I even got to Whole Cake. Like I had that shit spoiled for me, right?
Ah,
Um
okay.
yeah, One Piece is one of those shows where like I'm cool with getting spoiled on because like it's gonna take me 4 years to catch up.
Yo, facts. Facts.
um, but I had that idea like who want it with the Vince Smoke? Like oh that's kind of nice, and I was
Mm,
just going into it on like I wanted to touch on how he's like he's a ladies man and like it's played up in the show a lot of the time, but when it's like for a girl that he like he just locks in. You know what
yup.
I'm saying? Like,
Yup.
so like I had the who's the one that's gonna save the day? You know, it's Sanji baby. You know what I'm saying? Like you
Mm-hmm.
could vibe to it. And I think that's probably the one that I had the least amount of like direct references to. Um, but again, like it was just like I wanted to create this song that like you could dance to, right? Like you could one hands a day, you know, with Sanji baby, don't even
Mm-hmm.
live you don't even need my hockey baby. You know what I'm saying? Like it was just a vibe, and then I hit up Gods first, um, and Gods is great with those types of vibes of like some shit you could play in the club, you could dance to. That was
Yup.
Gods, and me and Gods have worked before several times as well. So I was like, nah, I'm getting Gods on this to end the track. And then me and Mari last year we did MegaCon together, um, and I realized as we're closing out this year that me and Mari still don't have a track together. And me and Mari have talked about working so when we do shows together, we can have a song together. And I was like, yo, I got like the perfect like we can like vibe to and get people dancing to track. Do
Mm-hmm.
something on this. And I sent him that and he did his thing on that. Um, and Gods did his thing. And it's so funny because God's got me his verse back first, and I did the opposite of what I did with Robin, where I sent it to Mari. And what's funny, what happened when Mari was supposed to end like when he starts doing that little like singing autotune bit right near the end of his verse. That
Yeah.
wasn't supposed to be there. I was supposed to bring the hook back in, but Mari just heard God's verse and was like, "All right, I'm going until I'm done." But it worked out perfectly though because the way he ends his verse,
mm-hmm.
like basically picks up with how God starts his verse. And it
Oh.
was just such a good transition that I was like, I can't get rid of this. Um, yeah, that's. I think See, it's hard because I like all my tracks, right?
Yeah. And you got to, man. You making these tracks, you gotta like them. You gotta like them, man.
um, But, like, I feel like for me, I think Vinsmoke is probably my favorite.
Hmm.
Might be my second favorite. It's between that and Wanna Live. I think those are like my two like favorites.
No, I can definitely see that. Um, before we talk about the last track with you and Omega, I do gotta
Mhm.
ask, man, the process of working on this enjoyable? Like, do you think we could be getting more Wolf EPs soon?
Oh, I already got one finished. I already got another one finished.
Oh, yeah,
Already
boy.
got
Okay,
I got another one finished, and I got like two more in the works.
okay, all right. I
I'm
see you.
working.
I
Uh,
see you.
the thing for me is it's very hard for me to do albums
Yeah.
because I get so I have ADHD, right? So as soon as and it's a bad thing that I have. I'm trying to work through it, but as soon as I lose interest in something, I never want to go back to it.
Yo, no, see, honestly, I agree with, I feel you on that one. I also have, I also suffer with ADHD. So we got the similar vibes there. So, what did you do throughout this to keep yourself engaged with it? How did you work through?
So for and this is why I think EP formats work better for me
Mm-hmm.
because it's only like 4 tracks. When I'm doing albums, right? Because like I had a fairy tale album that was supposed to drop last year that I never finished. And it's because like I get so overwhelmed with like, all right, I got 12 tracks, I got to get all these done, da 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 da. Where like every time when I work on an album, I get maybe 4 tracks in and go, damn, I really don't want to work on this anymore. um, so it was easier with like these because the next one I'm working on is only 5 tracks. Um, where it's easier with these shorter ones where it's like, cool, I've written a verse, I can go work on another track, while I'm recording, while I'm waiting to record, I can write another one. Where when it's album is like, cool, I've written a verse, I still have to write 11 more. I don't want to do this anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a smaller workload is a lot easier for me to complete.
That's very true. Plus, I know we were talking a bit before we started recording about short form content and long form content. When it comes to albums as well, we see that without releasing singles, especially within the nerdcore scene, without releasing singles, for the people who are used to people with weekly schedules, it's kind of hard to get an album to stick. I mean, people can
Yeah.
do it. We have people with good and great albums in the community. My mind immediately goes to Peso. Um,
Mhm.
but it is truthfully very hard to get albums to stick within the community itself and to get constant support on it, especially without like doing any single releases, constant promo, and short form content.
Yeah. And I think that really speaks to how nerdcore operates in terms of in the algorithm.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because the community has built itself on drop a track every week or drop a track every other week. That it's harder like for things like albums to hit because it's like, yeah, I just released this 12-song album. I'm also releasing a new song in 2 weeks that has nothing to do with the album. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And that's just to keep up with the algorithm. Um, and so it's harder for I don't want to say harder, but it's almost like you overwhelm, right? I think is the better word. You overwhelm your core fans with music. So
Yep.
like, you know, cool, he just got this project and he's dropping another song, and then 2 weeks after that he's dropping another song, and it's like I feel like it's harder for people to actually like digest a lot of the music. And that was something I had to learn. Like, is Cryo, you've been following me for years. We've been interacting for years. I do not drop as much as everybody else does.
Nah,
Um,
nah, no, you don't.
I don't like. I can admit that.
Yeah.
And it's hard for me because it's like I grew up on like DMX, on
Mm-hmm.
Jay Z, on Nas, right? Where like you get some singles, but the big thing is the album, right? The big thing is the albums they're working on, the mixtapes, the EPs. Um, So it's hard for me to go, cool, I made a song, push it out. Now I have to go make another song. Right. And
Mm-hmm.
push that out. Now I have to go make another song. Okay, let's push it out. Um, where these EPs, it's like this is 4 tracks. I could spend a whole month promoting a track, and then at the end of the four, drop my next tape, and then I
Yep.
have 5 months worth of content. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. There you
Um,
go.
it's just that's easier for my brain to work, and I'm still gonna have singles in between. Like I still plan to drop a single every month in 2026. Don't hold me to that because I say that every year, but I've already got like 3 singles lined up for next year.
Yeah.
Um, so like it's doing these EPs and taking the break for 2025 to I think like really help me like cool, I've got things lined up for next year that as soon as January hits it goes, "Damn, let me find something to rap about."
Yeah, I understand that. The other thing, I feel like it's also easier EP wise is you don't have to worry about. You said like overwhelming fans, of course, and listeners. There's also you could also say overstimulation as well. You don't want to
Yeah.
overstimulate them with like a whole track and then immediately jump into more singles, and then more promo, et cetera, right? So I do. I like your approach to this. How you're making it work, right? And your plans. It seems like you know you've always seemed like a person who's had what they want to do, uh, organized, right? And I know you just said ADHD. You got ADHD, so I don't know if saying organized is the best words, but you know, still, I do
Hey.
like the approach there. Now, jumping
Mhm.
on to Blades. Now,
Mhm.
we both Omega Red fans. I'm a huge
Oh.
Omega Red fan. I need to know how this track came together.
So I think it was like 2 years ago. I did a I was doing a challenge just to like help me with like making songs and stuff of like
Hmm.
I spend like 30 minutes a day just like freestyling, right? Finding a beat, picking a character and rapping about it. And I did one for Zorro. Like again, this was like 2 years ago. And I posted it online and me and Omega are homies. He saw it and he's like, "Nah, put me on that." I was like, "All right, bet."
Ooh.
Yeah, it never happened. It was just Griselda beat is nasty. It was
Hmm.
such a great thing, and we just like we both just got really busy at that time, and it never came out. So when I was working on this project, and I knew I wanted to do a Zorro song because that's the goat. Um, I hit up Omega and I was like, "Yo, so you remember that Zorro song 2 years ago?" He's like, "Yeah." I was like, "We're doing it, but not on that beat." And he's like, "All right, say less." And then it was funny. I sent him Shambles, right? I sent him the first verse to Shambles, and he was like, "Nah, this is dope. Put me on this." And I was like, "Yeah." So about that,
Yeah.
the song's already done.
Yeah.
Um, and so I was like, "Don't worry, I'll get you something like that." And I found that beat again, Shadow Bailey Daniels. Um, and so I was like, I sent him that, and he's like, "Nah, I'm gonna cook." I was like, "I bet." So I did my verse for that. Which at the time too, I had been playing a lot of Pirate Warriors, the Muso One Piece game.
Yeah.
So like that's why I have the bar. Pirates, we wiping out your warriors. Was like I had to reference it.
Right. I
um,
won't lie. That one went smooth over my head. I was not thinking about the Pirate Warriors games at all.
so I draw from everything, Cryo.
Yeah. Yeah.
Any little
Yeah.
bit of lore, I'm gonna pull.
There you go. There you go. Hey, I'm gonna have to get into them games now.
um, well, I did my verse. I didn't have the hook yet. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do for the hook, but I sent my verse and the timestamps to Omega, and he's like, "Nah, I'm gonna cook this." And then he sent me that. Ooh, the way he starts that verse, it's the South Banded, outstanding man. I was like, ah.
Yeah. Omega did
And
his
then
thing, bro.
oh my god, dude, I love Omega. I've been working with him for like 3 years now, and
Hmm.
every time we do a track together, it's like, yo, fuck you. Why are you so good?
So, hey
It's
man, if you
gotta
could
be a cheat
calm
code,
down just a little bit with that pen, that'd be appreciated.
just a little bit.
Hmm.
Um, But yeah, and then for that hook too, I remember because I came up with the first like two lines, and my uncle, who's a musician himself, I called him in. I was like, how do you think this like sounds? The first bit. He's like, that's pretty good. You just gotta find a way to end it. And like I was like workshopping lines with him, and then I came up with that hook, and recorded it, and I showed it to him. And he's like, nah, that's dope. That hits. Um, so that was just a cool like knowing that I can make a good hook.
Right. Hey, hooks are difficult, man.
it, I was talking to I can't remember who it was, but I had this conversation with somebody a couple years ago. For people like me, right, who are like more focused on bars,
Mm-hmm.
it's very hard to create a hook for because we think of like, okay, cool, how can I like do a punchline in here? When that's not what a hook is, right? Like a hook's not about crazy wordplay. It's something catchy to hook them,
Yep.
right? So that's why it's always hard for me because I'm always trying to come up with like, what's a punch? What's a,
Yep.
um, and like I said, a lot of them for this track kind of came together, thankfully. And I think Zorro is probably the one I had the hardest time with because it's more melodic esque. Because it's not like melodic, but it's more so than the other ones. I can't words. Um, but yeah, no, like overall, I said Omega killed that shit, man.
Mm-hmm.
I knew I had to get him on the tape.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. Now, before we get off here, man, I gotta ask. The EP is called Laughing Tail.
hmm
Obviously, we know that's gonna hint to it. That's Laugh Tail right there, right there. One Piece right there at the end, man. Where like okay, so this is obvious question, and it's a dumb question because I kind of know where the name came from. But was there more to the name of it besides just One Piece inspo?
Uh, so it was very focused on One Piece for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the so the track was originally gonna be 5 tracks. And I was gonna have a Luffy track on it.
Okay.
So like, and it was gonna end with the Luffy track, right? And it'd be like him reaching Laugh Tale. Um, but I decided to take the Luffy track off because uh, it didn't quite line up with the vibe. Like the beat was not crazy different, but it was a little bit different. Where it was like it was kind of jarring hearing it. So I was like, you know what? I'm probably eventually gonna do like a Yonko cipher EP, or I'm gonna do some more One Piece EPs. So we'll wait, we'll wait to do Luffy. Um, and but like so I was kind of at this spot where it's like I have this track or I have this EP name, but I don't have the main character it's about. And I was just like, but Laughing Tale is hard though. um,
Yeah,
so
true.
I was just like, you know what? It still works. It's still One Piece. All of these characters learn about Laughing Tale or Laugh Tale at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
They were all in the room when they learned about it. So you know what? It still works.
Right. And like you could also look at it as sure, Laugh Tale represents One Piece and Luffy's goal, but it also represents the rest of the Straw Hats' goals as well and what they want to work towards. So especially for like Sanji, for example, on Vinsmoke, he wants to find the all blue. Well, kind of has to go with Luffy for that. Same with Nico, she wants to learn about the blank period. Has to go with Luffy for that, find the poneglyphs, right? So while not having Luffy there, I could see like, okay, yeah, I don't have the MC here. You still kind of didn't really need him in there at all.
Yeah, and I just say too, like I think for not having Luffy on it, like everybody I've showed this to, no one's been like, it's weird you don't have Luffy on here. Like nobody's
Right.
even realized that he doesn't have a track on here. Um, which I think, is really cool that like, yeah, you don't need the main character on here
Mm-hmm.
for this still to work. Um, and the other thing I thought was really interesting, you brought up Robin too. The thing that I've noticed too in Nerdcore, there's like I think one Robin song.
That's
Like
insane,
nobody
really.
has made a song about Robin, and I'm just over here like, that's my favorite Straw Hat. Why ain't y'all rap about Robin?
That is crazy. I didn't even realize that.
Yeah, because we finished it. I was talking to Grayson about it, and he was like, "Yo." Both him and Callan actually mentioned to me like, I never thought I'd be rapping about Robin. I was like, why? She's the goat. And then like I looked it up and I was like, yeah, there's like I think it's Hala that has one. Um, I forgot. I looked it up a couple months ago now. But yeah, it's like only one person had it. And I was like, I'm changing that today.
Yeah, there you go. We about to have the second Nico Robin track now.
You feel me?
That is sick. Also, I just thought about this. Just thought to ask, are you gonna have any like AMVs made for these tracks?
Yeah, so if everything goes according to plan, because I heard back from my editor the other day, um, Shambles will be getting an AMV when the tape drops.
Hmm.
January 2nd. It should be releasing with an AMV for Shambles. Um, and then I haven't decided if how I'm gonna do it, but I think eventually I will get AMVs out. I don't know if I'm gonna do it like every month I drop an AMV for it. You know, if I just bang them out in a week, I'm not too sure yet. But the goal is to eventually have them all out by like December
Okay.
of next year, obviously.
Okay, okay. Say less, say less. Well, Wolf, thank you for taking the time. We planned this out, but thank you for taking the time to stop by, talk about the upcoming EP. You guys already heard it. It's coming out January 2nd. Guys, y'all go stream Laughing Tale when it's out.
Of course, thank you so much for having me, Cryo.
No
Uh,
problem, guys. You got any
yeah.
final words at all, man?
I just want to say shout out you, shout out really all of Nerdcore, man. Like the fact that I'm able to do everything that I do off of rapping about the nerdy shit I enjoy is such a blessing. And the fact that you took your time out of your very busy Christmas season, you know, to spend like an hour and talk with me it means a lot in the end. Um, I got like 400 subscribers. You could have said no and walked away.
Hey man, look, and he needs more. He needs more. He deserves all the support. Wolf is a very diligent worker, man. His tracks are amazing. He is the GOAT. Okay? And that's not something I say lightly. He is the GOAT. All right,
Thank you, Cryo.
no
I
problem.
appreciate that.
But guys, yeah, guys, I will be tagging Wolf down in the description below. Once again, thank you for stopping by talking. Till next time, guys, Cryo out.